With this feeling I can leave. I'm working and I'm here. Will you dare to give it over and walk by my side? Do you see the road? Do you hear it's cold? Do you want a part of it? Just getting me above now. Just getting
The former president of the Ivory Coast died March of 2021. You guys want to hear some news that you'll never find on the TV because they won't report on it? Well, here you go. This is Jovenel Moise, former president of Haiti, was assassinated July 7th, 2021. This is John Magufuli, the former president of Tanzania, who died March of 2021. This is Hamed Bakayoko, the former president of the Ivory Coast, died March of 2021. This is Pierre Nkurunziza, former president of Burundi. He died June of 2020. This is Ambrose Dlamini, the former president of Swaziland, died in December of 2020. This is Andry Rajoelina, the president of Madagascar, who recently overcame an attempt of assassination on his life. And if you're asking yourself, what do all these men have in common? They were all against and forbid the COVID vaccination coming into their country.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, I actually heard about that. I was watching that very closely. I was watching them being knocked off like little flies, one by one by one by one, because they refused that V in their country. And a lot of them, there was that guy, one of them in there, maybe it was Zimbabwe or something, and they were doing little fake tests. They were fake testing, right? So they would test a watermelon, or they would test a shoe, or they would test, and everything had COVID, much like China was testing trucks for COVID and testing anything you could think of, because it was the PCR testing procedure that was fundamentally flawed. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jason Bainbridge, and we got a doozy right here today. And I was a part of a chat call, a live Zoom meeting last night on Facebook, and I was with the Cows crew and the Good Oil team, as well as Liz Gunn was there as well. And we had a brilliant guest. His name is Robert Deutsch. And Robert is pretty famous because he'd been making a whole bunch of videos online, and what he does is he tracks the weather. Believe it or not, he tracks the weather. This is what you can see here. He tracks all the stuff that's going on, and he particularly focuses on chemtrails, chem bombing, and also EMF waves and HARP type technology. So let's have a little listen to see what he's saying about this one. Make sure I am muted. Yes, I am. Let's have a listen.
Bend. They bending two of us till it hurts no more. They put it in real slow and inflate it till it's big as a door. What a constipated system, so stepped up with bullshit. You can't even, there ain't enough laxative in the world to fix this. There ain't a douchebag big enough for some of the nozzles out there, by the way. Thank you for calling me that. You know you're a nozzle, right? We know where you're going. Bomb line, bit of a bomb, and a boom, coming all up to you. Boom, boom, boom. Chokey, wokey, woke, boom, 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 doop, juice, doopy, doopy, juice, bomb. This is not healthy stuff. This is not your kofefe. Suddenly where 5G is going to be healthy. Whoever said that one, go stand in front of a 5G emitter you think is healthy. And hold a hot dog for me too, because I might be a bit hungry. And if you're gonna live dangerously, I'll have a hot dog. wow, look at that one here. It should be just going that direction, but it's not fizzing this way, fizzing that way. I like this and like that, and like this, Santa. I like that and like this and like that, Anna. I like this. So just chill till the next episode. Here's another episode coming. You're having an episode. An event, an episode, a plan, a destruction, a disaster. Disasters. They're dissing what we got to say and causing all the asters. Isn't there a family called the Asters? Well, don't be dissing them. And what, did they get blamed for something? What's going on with that? What's going on with all these thousands and thousands of chemtrails here? Chemical trails in the sky. You know what's up with it? You let this happen. Look at these microwaves frying you out down here near the entrance. Or does the entrance get a big vibe on here? Get your vibe on in the entrance. The moisturizer. Moist. Does that trigger you, that word? Moist.
So as you can see, he's got quite a personality.
From Moss.
Quite a bit of a quirky personality how he does his presentations. But they're very serious presentations, although he has a lot of fun with it because, you know, what Vinny East would say, if you can't have fun, what's the point of being exterminated? Right? Right. And we've gotten some pretty serious issues there on the live chat. So let's go through and let's bust into it. And it starts off with a young fella called Tangata Whenua, or Michael, who was doing the MC for the day. And here you go.
So the least we can do is pick up these pieces or these keys and do something with them, which we are. So here's a small crew of people around the nation that are on Zoom with us tonight. And I guess we are all going out of not only our way, but we have laid down our daily lives in order to provide something that innately is our duty to uphold. So I won't say too much, but we're gonna sit like good students, and our ears are gonna be all open, and yours, Robert. So that's me, and I'll let you take the stage now.
Well, good day, folks. Whatever day it is, the date don't matter. It's time to react to what's going on. Like my man over here just said, they're not getting warnings out in time, but yet I can see it from here. They say that they're peers and they've got degrees and they got this and that. They matter. Their voice matters. What they say matters, but yet they screwed the pooch. They humped the bonk. They missed it too many times in too many countries. I'm seeing a plan, and then straight in with we wanted a bridge over the East Valley. We wanted this. We wanted that. Straight in with the agenda plans that if you look up your town name and then use the word master plan development 2030, you see the words master plan. Okay, where did that word get used before? Okay, what happened because of it? I hear the word pure bloods being mentioned too sometimes. Okay, I'm very, very nervous for what kind of world I'm going to leave for my grandson. Very, very saddened when the deaths of people is not, it's almost a dishonor to use the trees of the forest to kill those people. They knew what they was doing. They knew we'll leave that on the ground. A flood's coming. They had to. You can't tell me they didn't know that was coming. Their equipment wasn't there, but straight on the roads to harvest the trees afterwards. I watched how quick they have forestry service. Someone had them all. The engineer takes planning, takes money. Private interest is what's funding this, and it's what's funding your development too. Someone makes concrete money. Somebody's going to make money off the roads. There'll be jobs. But would they be from your country? The people doing it is another question that the people bring up. But at the end of the day, to use a next-red radar that is sold for safety, street level radar, you'll be able to tell what it's rated over there and not over here. You'll know when to bring your picnic in. You can't tell nothing. It looks like a bunch of Tetris pieces going by. And it is very puzzling. I'm very outspoken about this issue. I gave a talk in Nelson, New Zealand. I talked in a pub in Auckland. And it's always Kohai, And the truth, I get disgusted. You got these people out there, I'm going to say it. You got a guy out there named Ken Ring. Well, I didn't know him from nothing. Evidently, I disagree with an almanac prediction. You know, the WAG method, wild ass guessing between choices. Said a storm was going to fizzle out. He was like arguing about me, trashing my name. And it was very bad. Because how many people went back on the road and went home and I was killed from him? And I want him charged for that. And the defamation of character. And that's a great way I can be. Might even be allowed in the country. He said, I don't even know if even with a visa is to let me in. Right? I'm a bit notorious, you say? How they do us with a plan like this and then blame us? Well, it's your fault somehow. You were breathing. Cow was farting. You know, no. The chem bombs, you got acid in the sky. It's easy for us to prove. For 10 years, I've asked for 2 things to be done. One of them's finally starting to get done. I want everybody in the world to check their rate. Hold this litmus paper. It's a piece of paper. It tells you the pH. Is it acid? Is it neutral? Or is it alkaline? That's all I want to know. What's its number? If we had everybody in the world do that at once, but we could see what the fallout is all at once. How we burning ourselves. Why in the 1970s, when the Ohio Valley, I remember I took a trip down Skyline Drive, Smoky Mountain National Park. The entire western slope, the trees were dead. Hundreds of miles. Broke my heart. And they blamed Canada and acids from their industry settling in the valley and burning the trees. And all these laws got passed. Clean Air Acts and all this. And which got shredded by Donald Trump's executive orders during his presidency. He shredded the Clean Air and the Water Acts, allowing higher emissions from factories. However, the data of what it harmed has not changed. That creature still burns at that level. This thing will not grow at that. That insect will die at that acid level. It needs that, that needs that. When you start seeing so many lichens growing worldwide, and the ones even in the temperate rainforest up in Scotland and the Highlands are way too bitter, because I've been tasting leaves and souls and stuff all around the world. We have new tourists for that. Grammy said, you go eat your pound of dirt, I literally have. I want to know what it tastes like, because it burned in my mouth. What's that leaf? It got its waxy coat. I'm watching destroy your crops to control your food. I'm watching destroy your roads to control your transport, your infrastructure, create a shortage because you can't get stuff from A to B. How are you going to even sell New Zealand fruit? And then molded
exactly
it off
what we're seeing
when
now.
you can't bring it from one island to the other.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
watching
exactly what
them
we're seeing
starving you
now.
out, and I'm scared.
I just wanted to mention, because you're talking about the rain now, Robert. So I've managed to collect, we've got over 100 different samples from all around the North Island. So they'll be all sent in to us. Now, what we're noticing is that majority of these tests are coming out with these white little fibers in the water. I managed to get us, like, I wanted to make sure it wasn't stuff coming from the air. I wanted to make sure it was coming straight from water. So the way it funneled into my jar, only water can get in there, no particles in the air or whatever. So I'm still noticing these white fibers. Now, that there's a lot of acid in these waters. The pollution, so I can eliminate down to our geographical locations that the pollutants where we should be are very minimal. The pollutants in this water is very large. So it's telling me a lot of things that, yeah, we've got a lot of spraying going on that has also been logged. The data's all there. And then the location of these facilities. So that's we spoke about from our last conversation in regards to hitting them with the rain acid. That seems like the way to go, because I guess there's more push in that play.
I got a second one.
And then, yeah.
You want to hear the second one? The data's already there.
Yeah.
Tree core samples that have been taken around the world for hundreds of years will give a very definitive timeline. When did they start with the aluminum? When did they start this? A very definitive timeline of Geo Engineering through tree core samples that have already been taken. Come on, forestry people. You love your trees, you love your leaves. Answer my question. Definitive timeline of toxicity of heavy metals that are only industrially produced. Has to be precious. Aluminum, is not found as a rock on the ground. It has to be processed from alumina-rich soils. So, find me, when did they start finding aluminum in the air? Bingo. All right, here's another one. That's a checkmate. Alcoa Aluminum Corporation, or whoever.
So have you started those tests?
I have asked for this to be done. I don't have access to everything. I got a lot of ideas. I'm very impoverished. I sit in a room and I can give an accurate forecast and I do it. Right? I like to live a meek life. It's cool to have a poster behind me and all. It's at the end of the day, we're going to fix this. And those data is readily available. It is not called pollution. We ain't allowed to be throwing our aluminum cans on the ground. Here's laws. Yeah, it's a little tricky one. That he's throwing his cans out in the sky. Let's get him. Pollution, litter.
So I also want to make mention of so with your data, so on our during the last man-made cyclone named Gabriel, there was a few of us analyzing your data via your forecasts prior to it actually hitting. So myself, knowing the geolocations of certain areas down in Hawke's Bay, I was watching your forecast first, and then I was tuning into the channels and also the civil defense down in Hawke's Bay, and their warnings were contradicting the data given from your channel, and then they were conflicting with the information provided from the media. So they were taking it upon themselves to, because we had a big jurisdiction lockdown or authority, they've got these special powers apparently that are presumed. So in event of a natural disaster, the jurisdiction or the authority changes over to these different districts of power. So we've got this thing called the civil defense. Now, the civil defense, which is not military or civilian based, has its own little strategy rooms, and they basically dictate and tell both civilians and government official agencies what is the plan. So what they were coming out of their room, strategy rooms, I was watching your data and also the media's data. It was conflicting with both. Now your information was on point, accurate, precise.
Silly me. So what he's trying to replace there, what he's trying to explain there is that the civil defense was giving information which was contrary to what Deutsch was saying in his. Well, as you can see, he uses a variety of tools to view the weather situation and what's going on. So they were giving contrary information, and what's actually happened here is the government has actually now announced that they have ended the emergency response, which I think is really horrible, because we're going to do a special on this over the next few days once we get the 3 parts of this interview out there. But yeah, I mean, there's still a big, huge mess out there, and the fact that they've lifted the emergency response is very premature, very, very premature. There's so much work there. They anticipate that they're going to be cleaning up for another 18 months. Can you believe it? 18 more months of cleanup, and it's all civilian based. And the Red Cross has been holding back money. You know, they've only given accounted for about 2.5 million of their multiple tens of millions that they've raised, as usual. Being the Red Cross and being an institutional organization and enriching themselves with the money and laundering over to their rich buddies. That's what the Red Cross does. And people are down there digging out with spades. They're still digging with spades. And the people are getting quite quiet, quite tired. People are getting quite tired down there. And people have been at it now for almost 12 weeks. And, it is a huge community response out there. And most of the freedom movement who are at Wellington are the ones down there. And of course, they're contractors and all that down there. But a large majority of the relief effort is not being government supported, which is very, very unfortunate. And it is mostly being handled by the truth movement, the freedom movement, the convoy movement. Anybody that believes in saving the country from these oligarchs, lunatics, really, these elite businessmen and interest groups. And we can only assume now that they're starting to designate areas as red zones being unfit to rebuild on, that this is a potential land grabs. Remember what they did with New Orleans? Yeah, they did the same thing with New Orleans. A large majority of the area around where the levee burst is still today, a decade later, a big mess and abandoned. And I'm assuming that probably in another decade, once everyone's forgotten about it, they'll clear it all out and build some kind of new infrastructure there, which will probably be some managed retreat scenario run by the government. And it may not be at all. It may not be for the particular purpose of individual household ownership. Maybe one of these communist collective urban living projects, no doubt. That's all you can really expect from this particular group of globalists who are trying to install this new world order. And the situation that has taken place up north as well is still not being addressed. There was a few days before Cyclone Gabriel, there was a big flooding up the northern regions of Whangarei area and further up north there, and Auckland. And now they've got tornadoes. When I was a kid, we didn't have tornadoes. They're trying to say climate change. Well, how about stop putting this junk in the sky, right? Stop chemtrailing, stop chem bombing. Turn HARP off, right? You poke the bear, and the bear's going to come back at you. This is the big situation here. So it's very unfortunate what's taking place here. And I dare say that this is probably going to get a lot worse, to be honest. I think it's probably going to get a whole lot more worse before it gets any better. And I do agree with Robert. I think he really needs to, people really need to get moving on this and do something about it themselves. There's no point waiting around for anybody to come and save them. You are the person that you've been waiting for. So if you're sitting around waiting for someone to come and save you, or that there's a secret military organization doing things behind the scenes that are going to make everything okay, you may need to recheck and do a reality check of your understanding of what's actually going on. Because it's a lot worse than we think.
They know that the others don't. And I'm very interested to hear what some of the other people got to say.
Correct.
Oh, we lost something there.
Yeah, I'll talk. I have evidence to prove that the councils are taking the ratepayers' money for the roads, and they're making a huge profit on it. And I'm talking about thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they're taking, instead of protecting the people, they're taking it all away from them. It's all it is. It's all about land grabs. It's all about depopulation, let's get rid of them. That's what their plan is.
There you go.
There's a 2063 agenda. There's agendas coming out of our ears. Just like you, Robert, it's time for justice. It's time for accountability. Otherwise, we have no future. And if we don't fight, no one else is going to do it for us.
And it's also time for farmers
to protect our future generations.
Yes, and farmers need to get up and move.
It's time for justice. It's time for
Yes.
accountability for all those people who have suffered under this carry-on. I'll give it to someone else now.
Well said.
Yeah, I agree with that. In regards to the council, I mean, they don't own the whenua, so how do they determine who claims or has to pay rates? So when we bring things back to mana whenua, we see we don't even own the whenua, but we are kaitiaki of. And so ultimately, the determination behind that, it's a clause factor. And so that could be akin back to the authority of the whenua, is that they don't even have jurisdiction to actually be dictating what happens here. So again, we look back to mana whenua. Now, all of these things, I see solution is always back into the deed or the title. You know, once we start reaching that level of comprehension, we start actually opening up the veil to see the dialogue behind the solution. I like that corridor that you opened up with, Robert, in regards to what they're doing down in Blenheim. Because to me, even though that the whenua is down in the South Island, there has to be some sort of representative to be giving the go-ahead for these fellas to be operating on this whenua. Because ultimately, if we look at the whole, which means that our jurisdiction actually covers out at sea further than what the maritime perimeters or proximity suggest, is that one, they only consult with iwi representatives, knowing that the iwi is the corporation based off the New Zealand government. So therefore, we're getting all these private contractors coming here from overseas, fucking with our shit.
Very well said. Very well said. Now, this is the end of part one, and essentially, he's right. Private contractors are coming over. Tangata whenua is the people of the land, right? That's what tangata whenua means. You're a person of the land. We are all tangata whenua. We were all born of the land, and the private contractors are coming over. They're corporate contractors, and they're coming over, and they're causing mass havoc to the land. So that is the end of part one. I'll be back very soon with part two, and we'll be back here with Robert Deutsch and Project Cows and Operation Good Oil on State of the Nation. And don't forget, we are ready. We are ready. Don't forget, we are ready. You're going to watch that video again. We are ready. May 20th. We'll be rocking and rolling on May 20th.
We know your plans.
Wow.
And guess
okay.
what?
We are ready. Don't forget. May 20th. Worldwide.
Never before has the world been so aware of and moment where foreign billionaires control everything we do. We have for you, our hungry globe. We know your plans, and guess what?
We are ready.
On that weekend, the Bilderberg Club meeting in Lisbon, Portugal for an annual meeting. So we are meeting too. Freedom lovers all over the world will come together in their own country or travel to Lisbon to send a message. We are many, we are united, and we are any other freedom event we've ever had. It's not a protest, it's a display of collective courage and strength. We are not begging to be heard anymore. We don't care what their plans are, because in just 3 years, billions of innocent people were put on house arrest, stripped of their human rights, bombarded with repetitive fear propaganda, job and trial drugs, balanced and bullied for asking questions. Now, in 2023, we're dealing with inflation we can't afford, rising energy prices, climate change propaganda, cancel culture and division, intrusive surveillance, and increasing death rates. You can threaten us as much as you want, but we have this message for you. We are many, not. We are ready. Enough is enough. No longer afraid of you and your evil plans. So bring it on. Any group or person. You can also help us spread the word or check to see if there's already in your area. Head to www.weareready.world for all the info.
With this feeling I can leave. I'm working and I'm